Being able to play almost any genre is, as we all know, one of the strengths of the Cypher system, but in a weird way it is also one of its weaknesses, because the Cypher system rulebook talks about so many different types of genre of tabletop RPGs that it doesn't really shine through in one particular department. But that is where the genre books come in. Hi there fellow roleplayers and game masters, my name is Mr. Tarask and this is still your go-to YouTube channel for anything Cypher system, and today I want to talk about Claim the Sky, the superhero handbook for the Cypher system. Now this is one of the white books, the genre books like I like to call them, for the Cypher system, and I already talked about two of these. There is Godforsaken for playing fantasy, there's Claim the Sky, sorry, not Claim the Sky, there is The Stars Are Fire for playing science fiction with the Cypher system, but today we're talking about superheroes. And I want to do two things in this video. First of all, I want to quickly talk about like the physical book itself, what you get for your money, and also what to expect from the book if you start reading it yourself, like a general sense what Claim the Sky is, so you don't get any spoilers further in the video. But further in the video, I want to look into the PDF and just point you towards some of the interesting stuff that is in here, so you can make a decision yourself if you want to pick it up or not. The first thing that I need to talk about with these books is always going to be the cover, because when you first look at it, it's just a beautiful piece of artwork. But the more you look at it, the more you actually notice, because it's always like a picture within picture within picture kind of thing. Godforsaken, beautiful. The Stars Are Fire, beautiful. And this one, again, beautiful. First of all, you get like this text bubble, which really says comic book superhero thing with like the text bubbles and everything. Then inside of it, we're seeing like this city skyline thing, and we're seeing this superhero in the text bubble. But then also we're seeing like this see-through little darker part, which is then also like part of like the main picture, but also like the cape of the superhero. And I really like how they do these covers for these genre books. They all fit together. When you put them together, they're all like the same but completely different in a sense. So what do you get for your money when you buy Claim the Sky? Well, you get a book and you get a fold-up map of a orbital superhero base for your players if they ever get a super orbital superhero base or something like that. In a general sense, Claim the Sky is all about making heroes super. There's always that problem in like if you play a fighter or a wizard in a fantasy setting, that's already like kind of a superhero, right? They can already do uncanny things, slay dragons, levitate, and all of that stuff. But Claim the Sky focuses more on giving each character strength and making it shine in one, maybe like one particular department, right? If you want to have a really strong character, you're going to have a really strong character. If you want to have a wicked smart character, you're going to have like one wicked smart character, or a character who can really build stuff. And that is what comic books and superheroes are all about, right? Most superheroes have like one or two things they really excel at, but then they get together with a team or whatever in order to like everybody excels at their own thing, and some stuff just comes easy to one superhero and other stuff comes easy to another superhero. And that is what Claim the Sky is all about. It is in a way a player's handbook where you have new descriptors and new foci to add to your character to make it feel like they are part of this comic book world full of superheroes. And it is also a game master's guide, and this is where it really shines for me. It is full of incredible wisdom on how to run superhero games, how to make your characters at your table feel superheroic, but also how to tell, and this is a really cool part of this book, how to tell a comic book style story. For example, they go into how almost every episode of a comic book or every comic book issue starts out with some kind of like action scene. Most of the time it is this action scene, and then you get like these small flashbacks of how the crap you got into that action scene. So it is a really cool idea to have your players sit at your table, start with an action scene, then after a while end the session, but at the next session you just skip like a week or something and just drop them in a new action scene and just tell them how they got there. Now, for example, I played a game with Up on his channel, a superhero game on his channel with a bunch of YouTubers, and we just started out falling out of a freaking airplane. So my character got into like a very old like Ford Thunderbird type vehicle, which was also falling out of the airplane, and just started like steering it in a way that it could, like Indiana Jones style, land on the cliffside, and my character could survive. That is what superhero storytelling, comic book storytelling, and superhero stuff is all about. So there's new foci, there's new descriptors for the players, and there's new rules, really simple and easy to grasp rules to make your characters more superheroic and make them shine more in one particular department. You can add these rules to the basic Cypher system. It is really easy, really simple, and it just does the trick very, very well. And other than that, there's stuff in here that you can find in any Cypher system book, which is a bunch of monsters and villains to pit against your players that actually fit the comic book style, superhero style game. And there's even an entire setting in here, but I'm going to be totally honest with you, I won't cover the setting in this video because I don't get these books for the settings. I always make up my own setting. On the fly, mostly. Okay, I know you're curious about the map, about the thing you get with this. So what you get is, on one end, you get the poster of the cover of the book, which is awesome. They always come with the books, and I wish I had room in my house to just put all of them, frame them all next to each other. I might be able to do that somewhere. But you also get like this entire suborbital, or what they call it, a superhero base, which maybe your heroes become so powerful they can get this Iron Man style, starring industry style superhero base for their players, which is of course very cool to get. Spoiler alert! Don't say you're not warned. This is the PDF of Claim the Sky, and I will be looking through this PDF right now and point you towards some things that I really like and one thing that I don't really necessarily agree with. But if you like Cypher system content on this channel, really important, make sure to hit the thumbs up on this video and to hit the subscribe button if you want to see more. And also, if you want to join the conversation, make sure to get in my Discord channel. I'm always there, like answering questions and doing the chitty chat thing. Also, if you can miss like one particular $1 or $2 or $5 or $10, whatever, make sure to go to my Ko-Fi page because it really, 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 really helps the channel if you do so. Without further ado, Claim the Sky is a mostly empty PDF, as you can see. No, I'm just kidding, of course. It always starts out with a white page, and that is because, like, the book, which I don't know where I place it right now, has this really cool interior artwork, but the PDF doesn't have that. So, Claim the Sky, I want to quickly go over the table of contents, because as you can see, there's a part 1 and a part 2 to this. Now, part 2 is Boundless. That is the campaign setting to play your superhero games in. I'm not going to cover that, like I said earlier in this video. I'm not going to cover that in this video because I don't get these books. I don't buy these. I don't buy them because I get them for free, but I don't get these books for their campaign settings because I always come up with my own campaign settings on the fly, mostly like behind like one particular ID. But yeah, that's how I play the game. So I don't buy books for their campaign settings. Mostly outside of like the Midgard campaign setting. So the gaming with superpowers is what I want to talk about actually. And as you can see, building a superhero, character options, superpowered rules, a world with powers, comic book storytelling, all that stuff is in here. And this is where the book really shines. So I want to talk through some of the stuff that I really like. And first thing I want to talk about is the types of heroes. So they go into like a few heroes that we know and love, like Magneto, Iron Man, Black Widow, Thor, The Thing, Batman, who they are and how you might be even what their character sentence could be. Like for example, let's take Batman. A summary is a Dark Knight, who if you build a sentence around them with the Cypher system, they could be a perceptive warrior who solves mysteries. An archetype could be a genius. So that stuff is in here, but what I really want to talk about is like the character concept. So the types of heroes that are out there. I really think they really done a good job on this because there's so many of them. Let's just look at a few. There's Atlantean. You're from another water city or realm such as Atlantis, so basically Aquaman, right? Bearer of the item. Your powers come from the use of a specific object with strange abilities. Let's say the Green Lantern right there. Beastly hero. I don't know. Wolverine, right? Beastmaster. I need some help on that. There's a bug hero in here, like Ant-Man, a builder. I mean, Iron Man could be a builder, right? So there's cyborg, but like Cyborg is also a hero we know from DC Universe. Dark Enemy, Elastic, like Elastigirl, Energy Master, like all of the X-Men, basically, right? So extra limbs, which could be like some weird form of like Doc Ock, force field master, friendly thing, genius, half vampire, giant hero, and they go into like how you should play these, but also ideas of how you can build these. And they don't say like you need to take this, and this in order to play this. This is like more of a character concept they're going into than like telling you like what you get. They tell you here, for example, that you have a genius who might, in which case you should choose the shrink in place of one of your abilities at any tier. Shrink. And like always for any Cypher system book, they do a really good job of having this this section next to the main text here. So this is in blue, and meaning that it tells you right here on what page you can find that. And if you have the PDF, it's even hyperlinked. I can click page 55 here and go to shrink immediately, which is of course always a really cool way of doing it, and Monte Games really does a good job at that usability in their books. Now the main mechanical part of making your characters feel super powered is this part of the book, Superpowered Rules. Now, the main Cypher system rulebook talks about power shifts, but it just go a little bit deeper into the power shifts system in this book, but also add power stunts in there. So power shifts, a typical superhero gets 5 power shifts. Power shifts are like permanent free levels of effort that are always active. They don't count toward a character's maximum effort use. They simply ease tasks that fall into specific categories, which include, but are not limited to, the following. And there it is, there's an entire list. Accuracy, dexterity, flight, healing, increased range, intelligence, power, prodigy, resilience 7, single attack, and strength. So what it does basically is really simple. It makes you shine in 1 or 2 particular departments. So you have 5 power shifts. You can basically choose 5 from these, which is a good way to have like this balanced hero that can do a little bit of everything. And everything you do in that particular thing, for example, strength, all tasks involve strength, including jumping, dealing damage with melee or thrown attacks, which is plus 3 points, but not attack rolls. It eases that, right? So everything involving strength, so pushing something is eased by 1 step if you take a power shift in strength. By taking a power shift in strength, you also deal 3 more points of damage if you have that power shift in strength. But you can use 5 power shifts, and you can also take like a maximum of 3, the book says, in 1. So if you take like the strength one, you become this really bulky person, almost like, I don't know, Thor or whatever, who just like eases everything by 3 steps. Like pushing a freaking school bus into a freaking, I don't know, alien. Should be like really hard, maybe like even difficulty 8 or 9 for most people, but for Thor or whatever, it's going to be, if they take 3 levels of power, they take 3 power shifts in like that particular department, it becomes, if it was originally an 8, it becomes a level difficulty 5, which is only a 15 to roll instead of it being just impossible. Another mechanic is power stunts, which is something already explained in the Cypher system rulebook as well, but they go deeper into it here for the sake of superheroes. So power stunts is a pushing a superpower beyond its normal limits, or using it to do something it normally can't do. For example, a lightning blaster shooting farther, fire creating hero absorbing fire from a burning building, an illusionist hero negating an opponent's invisibility, all of that stuff. So it's really, the system again is really easy, and there's actually 2 ways of doing it. If you want to increase the range or the duration of a power, you just spend 1 point from the pool. For example, if you have an intellect power that has a range of short, you can increase it to it has a range of immediate. You can increase it with 1 point, you can increase it to short, and with another point you can increase it to long. Same with the duration, which most of the time in the Cypher system the durations are, if I'm not mistaken, it says it right here, they are 1 minute, 10 minutes, and an hour. So if you spend one more point from your intellect pool for like something that like maybe you have this absorption shield that lasts a minute, right? Spending an extra intellect point can make it last like 10 minutes. Spending another one can make it last up to an hour, which of course is a really easy way to spend your points in order to become more super heroic. You can also modify your, I'm going to zoom in a little bit. You can also modify your the aspects, like other aspects of your ability. For example, instead of increasing the pull point cost, the character decides how they want to modify their ability, and the GM sets a difficulty. So a difficult scenario is a 4, which is a 12 to roll. Something within the spirit and general idea of the ability, using a self-only ability on another creature, for example. So you might have a self-heal, like healing hands in whatever, 5th edition, whatever. You have the self-heal, which is normally only on yourself. You might tell your game master, can I please use it on my friend who's almost dead? Your game master might set a difficulty 4 for you in order to see if you can channel that or use the item you're using for it in order to do it on another person. Another difficulty is a 7, which is 7 times 3 is 7, 14, 21. So it is technically impossible to roll on a d20, but since you are a hero that probably has the power shift in that particular department, it's probably automatically lowered. Something similar to the description or intent of the ability, but changing its nature. Or having a single target ability affect an area. Examples, using hover to make an opponent crash into the ceiling. Things like that. And then there is, of course, impossible, which is a 10, which would be a 30 to roll on the d20. Really hard to do. An effect that has nothing to do with the ability's description or intent. Examples, using hover to blast an opponent with fire. Now, for me personally, that doesn't make any sense at all. So I'm just gonna ignore the impossible things. If somebody wants to use hover to set somebody on fire, I'm just gonna say, if you want to set somebody on fire, you should get some oil and a match or something to set them on fire, not do it with your hover ability. Now, there's a lot that I won't be talking about in the 226 pages of this book because that would be a way too long of a video. There's one part in the GM guide portion of this book that stood out to me a lot, which is this one. PCs should get to be powerful. Frequently, give the PCs a chance to be powerful and cool. Give them an obstacle that would be difficult for normal characters, but that they could easily overcome. A house is on fire, a construction crane is teetering and about to collapse, a bunch of typical thieves are robbing a jewelry store. The superheroic characters should be able to deal with these situations fairly handily. Now, for me, this is a really good piece of advice, and this is true for a fantasy game, science fiction game, any tabletop RPG. You should, every now and then, there should be encounters that are almost too easy, if you know what I'm saying. I mean, so the characters feel that they are actually people who have extraordinary abilities. For example, if a crane is about to fall on top of a bunch of people in a crowd or something like that, Spider-Man can fairly easily shoot 2 webs to the crane and pull it back in. But you need those moments in a Spider-Man film, you need those moments in a superhero comic book and in a superhero game to actually set the tone like, look, these people can do these things that normal people can't do. So not everything has to be like this high stakes kind of thing where it's absolutely completely difficult to do something and everything is like a difficulty 8, difficulty 9 thing. No, sometimes it should be just like difficulty 4, but because they have like these points spent in different things, for them it's like a difficulty 3 or even a difficulty 2 or maybe like an automatic success even. So like the GM guide portion of this book, it really tells you how to make any tabletop RPG feel super heroic. Now let's talk about player options. Players need options in order to build a superhero, and the first thing they give us here is really cool. It is a random rolling table, or a pick and choose rolling table, where you can take a power, and then it actually gives you ideas of what you can take from the books in order to actually have that. For example, if you want to be lucky, you can have stuff like chaotic, you can be lucky, you can take dodge and resist, or hard to kill. All of these with the right flavoring, and they can become lucky. If you take healing, maybe you want to be a healing superhero, which I always have thought to be a really cool idea. You could just take a power shift in healing, so you have a bunch of healing abilities, but often healing abilities may have a difficulty in order to pull off. If you take a power shift in healing 1, 2, or 3, it actually eases that. So you might have like auto successes on some of your healing abilities, maybe even. A fire attack, for example, you could be a energy master on page 17. Don't click that because it will it's all like hyperlinked. If you want to be beastly, you can take beastly hero, and all of the pages and everything are in here. Some from this book, some from the Cypher system rulebook, the core rulebook. So it's really easy. It's a really user-friendly table, and I like that in books. Absolutely love it. There's new descriptors. There's new foci. There's not a lot of them, but what you need is there, and there's a bunch also in the Cypher System rulebook, and you can also just take the generic ones from the Cypher System rulebook and kind of like reflavor them for your superhero game, because that is what the Cypher System is all about, right? So you have new descriptors. That's the first word in your character sentence. Character name is a blah blah blah, and the blah 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 is amazing, incredible, mighty, sensational, uncanny. Let's look at mighty. You have very impressive physique. You are very powerful, +4 to your might pool. Wow. So you can instantly see that because we're playing superheroes, everything is more harder, better, faster, stronger, right? It is kind of like fantasy on steroids, right? You're trained in all actions involving lifting and throwing things. So you might want to take like the mighty descriptor and combine that with taking a power thingy in might stuff. So it eases all of that by one step because you've taken that. But if you have done also this, it eases that with another step. So it already eases that with 2 steps. So something that is a difficulty 2 just becomes an auto success for you, right? If you then combine one more of those things, a difficulty 3 is not a success. So everything you need to lift, which should be a difficulty 9 for most people, for you it's an automatic success, which is really cool. Skill, you're trained in the might defense tasks at one point to your game when you make a recovery roll, also very cool. And then a link to your starting adventures always in there. Let's look at just amazing. You have a knack for surprising people performing impossible athletic feats, sneaking up on somebody to alert, blah 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 blah. So +2 your speed pool, +2 additional points divide among your stat pools. So you can also just like take +4 to your speed pool, which makes you really fast and really sneaky. You're trained in initiative and stealth tasks, always handy to have. Acting before the enemy is always a good idea. Self-hype. When you apply a level of effort to a task, you get a free level of effort. Wow. You can do this one time, although the ability is renewed each time you make a 1 hour or 10-hour recovery roll. That is really, really cool. But it is really powerful. So it comes with, as far as I can see, with an inability. Your sudden appearances are startling to regular people. Positive social reactions are hindered. Oh, cool. There's an inability in like this social encounter type thing, but you also have like the self-hype ability that just gives you a free level of effort every time, like once a day or like once-ish a day-ish. It's different in the Cypher system than for most tabletop RPGs. Let's look at some of the foci. This section presents new superhero foci and can be used as in most superhero campaigns. The foci introduced here are as follows. Copies superpowers, has 1,000 faces, ignores physical distances. So the foci is like the 3rd word in your character sentence. Your character name is an amazing, for example. An amazing, I don't know, warrior who... And then you get like this foci who has 1,000 faces, who ignores physical distance. Copy superpowers is cool. You get reflex skill, flex skill, copy power, steal power, wild card powers. So there's a bunch of new sculpts, hard lights, takes animal shape, shrinks to minute size, which is really cool. You can shrink down to the size of a box, so you can basically build Ant-Man with this. And with enough experience, even smaller. Shrink, beneath notice, smaller, advantages of being small and large, or quick switch, small flight, all of that stuff is in here. So as you can see, they really did a really good job of making all of this feel like the comic book heroes we all know and love.
And that's it.
Well, no, actually that's not it. There's an entire campaign setting in here that I'm not talking about, but there's also more stuff in here. Like, there's an entire, I don't know, bestiary in here with like super villains and superheroes, and monsters and weird things you can pit against your players, all feeling like this comic book, Marvel, DC type of stuff that we know and love from televisions and from comic books. There's also an entire section in here about having your own base of operations as a character, which is also really cool because it starts out with like this really crappy basement kind of thing, and it ends all the way up in space with the suborbital space station thingy. If you have any questions about this book, comment below with your questions, hit the thumbs up, hit the subscribe button. Until next video, bye bye.